Welcome to the Deconstructing Data podcast and live stream. I'm Jessie Lezak, fractional CMO at BDEX, along with David Finkelstein, BDEX's founder and CEO. What's new with you this week, David?
Hey, Jesse. All good here. A little mess up at the beginning, but we're all good. Wow, it's been a busy week. I can't believe it's Thursday already. And here we are live again. And we had a great show last week and looking forward to another great show this week.
Nice. Yeah, me too. It's going to be a great one. We've got a guest who's just returning from vacation in Spain to be on the Deconstructing Data podcast. So we're excited to welcome on Andrew Lebbos, SVP of Licensing and Benzinga at Benzinga. Welcome to the show, Andrew.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Well, Andrew, we appreciate you coming off your vacation and jumping into our show. And would love for you to kick it off for us. Let our viewers and listeners get a chance to know you a little bit about your history and your background and what led you to become Senior Vice President at Benzinga and what Benzinga is doing for their clients today.
Absolutely. Thanks again for having me. I'm excited to share and have this discussion today. My name is Andrew Lebbos. I've been at Benzinga for 7.5 years. Back then, it was a tiny little financial media shop out of Detroit, Michigan. We've grown a ton since then. Our goal is to break down the wall between Wall Street and Main Street, allow for everyone to invest in stocks, understand stocks, write news in a way that is easy to understand for any level of investor. And that concept got really popular really fast, especially during COVID. After COVID, everyone wanted to invest on their own. They wanted to build platforms around stock investing, automated investing, analysis of stocks, and we became the backbone for a lot of those platforms. And at that time, I really got interested in the data side of what we were doing, the data that we were aggregating and originating in order for us to write news. We also started delivering in a raw form for brokerages to display or for hedge funds to use for trading. And that business has grown to be our priority. Benzinga.com/APIs is where you can find information on those sort of things. But we're continuing to grow. The AI boom has been great. A lot of these AI companies are using our data and other data from our industry to power their models, and fintech continues to grow. So that's where we are today.
Incredible.
Yeah, it's awesome. So we talk about a lot of different kinds of data on this show every week. And I think this is an interesting one because I think this is a topic we haven't touched on before. So I'm excited to jump into the first topic, using real-time market data to drive smarter decisions. Love to get your thoughts on this. Like, what does this mean? And what are you guys doing? And what are you seeing the market doing in this space?
Yeah, this is a weird niche corner of the data world. So the best way to think about it is imagine your 401k provider, or if you have a Robinhood account. If you were to search for Apple and you go to their stocks details page, everything that you see on the stocks details page is the data that we're talking about: the earnings, the dividends, the analyst ratings, the news feed. That's the type of data that we're providing from Benzinga to our partners. That same data is used by the hedge funds. And so using real-time market data to drive smarter decisions, I mean, the market itself is so dynamic, and by definition, these events that are happening throughout the day influence the price. Whether you're a long-term investor or you're a day trader or you're a multi-billion-dollar hedge fund, you have to know what's going on in the market. You have to know how the earnings went. You have to know what's happening politically, the economic calendars in the major countries, the IPOs that are happening with the SpaceX thing. I mean, it's the market in itself is just a conglomeration of data. And so we try to get it to people as fast and as accurate as we can.
Yeah, I would imagine this is something that's probably only touched the tip of the iceberg, in the sense that, with AI and a lot of people using, AI to trade now, understanding market data in real time and what's going on is something that's, people, I would imagine, are using these AI agents to manipulate, sort of understand what's going on in the market and manage their trades. So I'd love to kind of dig into that. Like, what do you see people? How do you see people using this data? Am I spot on, or where's it going? How much are we going to see of this in the future?
Yeah, there's two parts to it. The first part is a little more advanced, and it's like the automated trading that we're seeing with a lot of these brokerage partners. So Robinhood, for example, just announced their MCP automated trading solution. I'm not sure what they called it, but about a year ago, they announced Cortex, which was an AI summarization tool where you could ask it a question, or it would summarize the news for a stock that you're looking at. Now they're releasing the more advanced, hey, you can trade with AI based on certain inputs into this AI engine. So, the model that they have, you can say, like, if earnings beat then by X amount. That's really innovative and very cool. I think it's relatively advanced for a lot of traders and investors. Like, even myself, I haven't tried it yet, as I'm like a very long-term boring investor myself. But we have people at our company that are doing some really advanced things. And it's funny because they're using Benzinga data as an input in these brokerage AI platforms to make trades happen. So it's a nice full circle moment for some of our engineering team. Then I guess so the second part of it is a more simple version of a Robinhood Cortex, for example. I know I keep going back to Robinhood. I'm just saying Robinhood because it's what most people use. Everybody knows the Robinhood platform. The Robinhood Cortex is a summary of everything that you need to know about a stock, and it's right on their stock details page. It's a really cool use case of AI making data easier to understand for the individual. Our whole goal, like our whole ethos at Benzinga, is to present information in a way that is easy to understand. We feel that everyone should be able to control their financial futures. It doesn't have to be super complex. And we've written our news in a way that is easy for everyone. I think that AI is going to take it a step further, and it's going to help personalize experiences for people, speak in their language, right? Even like from as easy as the translation models, since AI has entered the scene, are so much better and enabled different countries to invest in other countries' stocks, et cetera. So like on the base level, AI is breaking down and helping democratize finance by personalizing and bringing information in a way that is easy to understand for each person. And on the advanced level, it's enabling things that we wouldn't be able to do otherwise.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm a boring long-term investor, but I love the sort of the idea of thinking about, because the MCP servers, like everybody's building an MCP server for everything now. I mean, we have one at BDEX for our data, but I love the idea, like, to think that you could literally just integrate an MCP server into Claude and literally manage your stocks from there, and just tell it what you do, what you want it to do, when you want it to buy, when you want it to sell, and it just does it. So I love that.
Yeah, and it's able to rebalance if X. It's taking away a lot of the manual input that we would have had to do ourselves. And it's also enabling, like, if you wanted to high frequency trade, you would have to have an engineering background, or you'd have to hire someone with an engineering background to set it up for you. Now you can just tell the agent the exact strategy that you're looking to deploy. It's going to enable people to fulfill these ideas that they've had. The idea now is more powerful than the skill, which is really interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. It's empowering people to be able to do things that they never would have been able to do before. They have the idea to do it, but not the skill set to do it. But it doesn't really matter now because anybody can do it. It's the power of AI.
even me, even I can build and I can code with AI. I mean, it's a new day. You're right. It's democratized so much.
Mhm.
It's interesting to hear how it's democratizing finance as well. But maybe this is a good turning point to move into our next topic, which is structuring and enriching financial data for better user targeting. So, what exactly are you enriching financial data with?
Interesting. This is an interesting one. So I guess from a data vendor perspective in fintech, I guess I'll speak about this broadly. When AI first hit the scene, everyone in our space was freaking out. They were like, all of our data is commoditized. It's going to be automated. People are going to scrape it themselves. They'll vibe code a streaming solution of earnings, and they won't have to buy it anymore. We realized very quickly that the value in our data is the additional insights and the enrichments that we have added and the proprietary information. And so imagine our news desk, for example. Like, everyone has access to a press release feed and they can write news about it. Everyone has access to the earnings call and they can go and write news about it. But our news desk is trained on the history of finance and the current market dynamics and politics, and they all have their own special niche that they cover, and they're able to add additional value and insights to that press release in order to write a story about it. They have connections with CEOs or sell side banks where they can call someone up and get a quote that another news organization or an AI agent couldn't get. And so the way that we're foreseeing the future of our niche industry, the financial data vendor, it's all about the additional insights that we can provide above just the commoditized info.
Yeah, it's really interesting when you have like unique data sets like you have. We see it in our industry as well, where you think of it from the point of view of like, okay, we have this data and we can enrich. But then you never really realize until other people start using it, till you open it up into tools like APIs or an MCPs, and you start like seeing how other people will use the data. And sometimes it just blows your mind and you're just like, wow, like I never even thought to use the data that way. And so like you could build products around your data, or you could just open it up and give people access to the data and let them create with it. And then once you start seeing people create with it, it like blows your mind. You start seeing things that you never would have thought of. And I kind of see that from the same perspective of what you're saying is what we've seen happen with our data in our industry.
It's amazing. I think it's really fun and engaging and dynamic. Like, I foresee myself in this industry until I retire because it's ever changing, right? Like, our dev pipeline is extremely dependent on our customer demand.
Mm-hmm.
So we're having these conversations, whether it be at events or direct phone calls or surveys that we send out through our newsletter. What do your users need? And, for example, about a quarter ago, everyone said we need prediction markets coverage. How are these prediction markets odds playing into traditional finance, right? Even the brokerages that don't have prediction markets on their platform, they needed news about prediction markets and how it could affect people's stocks. And so, we spun that up rather quickly. But there's even, like you said, on the enrichment side of things, like, not, I guess that's an example of a new product, but enrichment. People use our analyst ratings endpoint, and they asked for some people built out aggregations of them, and then other partners weren't able to build it. So we quickly built it, and then we provided summaries of each, and then we built on it, and we made summaries of the analyst reports, and then we took those summaries and we built a bull and bear case for each stock. And so we added layers of proprietary information to make it more valuable, because a lot of people can obtain the analyst ratings and reports, but what you do with it is what provides the value to the end user.
Yeah, absolutely. So where do you see, like, this is the question I like to ask a lot of people, especially in industries that I'm not familiar with. Like, this is not an industry I touch. Like, everything that we do is consumer data. It's all, advertising, marketing related. But I'm really intrigued by what you're doing with this financial data. And on top of that, like the AI use cases for it and the agentic use cases for it. So, like, to my point earlier, we're probably at the, just seeing the tip of the iceberg of what can and will be done with it. What do you, if you had to sort of predict what the future will look like 1 year, 5 years down the road, like, where do you see this going? Like, where do you see, like, the incredible new use cases coming from, with this type of data?
It's an interesting question. I'll give where I think it'll go.
And let me before you say that, I'll preface this with the fact that we have predicted the future here on this show. Like we literally have had these conversations. Like, if you go back a few years to prior, we 200 plus episodes we've done where we've had these discussions, and then like a year later it's happening. So like this will be an interesting place for us to come back to, 6 months, a year, or 2 years from now. So
no pressure, right? Interesting. I'll preface with the idea that, like, in fintech and in finance, it's like the Wild West. Like, it's so hard to predict. Like with Bitcoin, for example, I'm just gonna derail this for a second. Everyone was talking. I remember like 2019, 2020, 21, 22 is when it really, like, got very populous, and our parents started talking about it. During that time, people were like, it's going to either be the future of money and it's going to be the new currency internationally, or it's going to be zero. And then we ended up being able to invest in it in our 401ks through a Fidelity ETF. And it's like, just where fintech and finance ends up, where the market finds equilibrium, just always baffles me on all of these things. But if I were to predict the future with these really interesting use cases and innovations in the space, I hope that it's a future in which more people will be educated on personal finance and investing, because we're breaking down the barrier to information and understanding. And I hope that, number one, education will increase. Number two, personalization will increase. So one thing in fintech to think about, like, if you go on your Instagram or your Facebook, TikTok, whatever it is, it's so highly tailored to what you want to see. Like, you're never going on and choosing what you want to see. These platforms know exactly what you want to see. Fintech and finance have not done that yet, right? Like, it's not a personalized experience. When you go on your brokerage, you go on your 401k, it's the same homepage to the portal every single time. And the news is top stories for everyone using the brokerage. I foresee a world in which, especially with AI, it might be personalized summaries, or it might just be better personalization within your experience. And with that, I think it's going to break down the barrier for people to get more involved in their personal finance. I think those are two pretty good takes, right? Yeah. Higher education and a higher level of personalization.
Yeah, I love that. So the education part, I'm all for. It always amazes me that, like, in school, we're never really taught personal finance. Like, everybody sort of has to just figure it out themselves, or your parents have to teach you. And like, I've done that with my daughter, you know what I mean? And she's 24, and it's like, I can't believe you never learned this in school. Like, it seems like the most simple thing. Like, we all need to be able to manage our personal finances. Like, it's crazy to me that that's not taught in school. So yeah, to your point, understanding, and especially as it gets easier and easier for the individual to, manage a portfolio, right? they need to understand what that means and understand what managing your personal finances. I love that. The personalization side, I'm gonna predict FinTalk will be like, you know, I'm giving it a name right now. It's FinTalk, and it's the TikTok for financial, for financial data. And so I think that's a really good, that's an amazing, sort of prediction as well. Just like, everybody sort of has their own investing like ethos, right? And so like to your point, you and I both said like we're long investors. And so like, you may have specific types of companies that you invest in long because you believe in them. Like for me, it's like Apple and, whatever, Berkshire Hathaway. And like, I'm like, certain types of companies. But to that effect, like if there were a platform that understood that about me, it might, make recommendations based on understanding what my ethos is and how I want to invest. And I think that that's a really interesting take. And I think that as we're talking about this, there's listeners that are saying, hey, that's a good idea. I'm going to build that. So we're helping move along technology by having this conversation as well.
It's amazing. And if someone is listening and is going to build it, reach out to Benzinga and we can all partner on it. I think that our brokerage partners actually want to personalize. They want to make it a personal experience. Because I mean, us three on this call and everyone listening, we are the target demographic for Benzinga and all of the brokerages. Like, no matter how sophisticated of an investor you are, everyone that's listening to this is the ICP for the brokerages. And how much better would your experience be if you could log on? You're a long investor, you said, right? Like you would rather read something more about the general S&P and or tech trends, et cetera, than about some crazy meme coin that might explode, I think it's better for both parties.
Yeah, definitely.
I just had my AI agent register fintalk.com, so I'm all good. I'm just kidding.
Nice. It's probably already out there. You never know.
Yeah. Right.
Well, we've already gone through topics 1 and 2. So our third topic is turning financial data into scalable distribution and monetization. So we've kind of already predicted the future a little bit, but now if we want to switch back into financial data, like, yeah, how do you make it more scalable? I'll let you take that one, Andrew.
Yeah, from a scalability perspective, I guess I'll give a little history on Benzinga APIs. So when I joined, we were primarily focused on marketing. We were a financial media company. We were breaking news, trying to get as many eyeballs on our site as we could so that we could drive advertisements, all while keeping our ethos, of course, right? But that was our main monetization effort. The media world is quite difficult and turbulent. And so I saw the data that we were using to write our stories was interesting and useful on its own. And so I said we should really dig into this and try to build something. So our head of product, Tommy Cotter, and I and a few others, small handful of folks at the beginning, started building products out of what we already had. And we did not build it in a scalable way at first. And then we hired folks that once we saw that it was a viable business line, we hired folks that took a step back and built it in an extremely scalable way. Multiple delivery standpoints, ingestion methods. It's a lot of it is above my head. I mean, these are like top tier engineers. But yeah, I mean, we were like, a couple kids in a basement at first is how it felt, the whole garage, entrepreneurial garage story. And now we're the biggest team of Benzinga, which is pretty fun. And so, yes, scalability was a huge hurdle that we had to jump through as we grew and found market fit. if I try to get too technical, I would embarrass myself. So I'll avoid.
Yeah, no, I get it. We're sort of in the same place with respect to that, because when we started BDEX now 11 years and change ago, it was all about, okay, taking a massive stack of data and figuring out how to scale it. And when you look at what we're doing today, like 11 years ago, we couldn't possibly have done it. Like we couldn't have afforded to do it. And so I think that like the way technology has moved and cloud services has moved, it has become easier to build large scale data sets, right? Make them scalable in ways that you literally couldn't do 10 or 11 years ago. It's just, I mean, and I'm sure you guys are handling similar scale data where we're looking at 2 to 3 trillion signals a month. And it's like, I couldn't even possibly think about doing that 11 years ago. It's mind boggling. And I think that 10 years from now, we'd be doing, more 10x that or more. But it'll be easy. You know what I mean? It's just going to get easier and easier. So I think that's one thing that people need to think about and realize, that you're in a time right now, if you're building something that's data centric, you're in a time right now where you can do things that you literally couldn't do 10 years ago. And it's only going to get easier. And so I think that that's, sort of a beneficial, place where companies are in right now that want to work with scale, large scale data sets like that.
It's very good food for thought, especially as we work on our next sprint. So I appreciate that insight as well.
Yeah, it's certainly something to think about, and it's mind-boggling to think about what we'll be able to do in just a few years versus how much it's changed in the last 10.
Yeah, it's changing every month, it feels like, every week these days we're getting new news about Anthropic or one of the other big ones. Yeah, it's an exciting time to be in business right now. Um, but in terms of turning financial data into scalable distribution and monetization, what might be some like actionable advice you might give to someone who's listening who might be considering this?
I know a lot of people that have attempted and or built alternative data sets, and it's within reach. It truly is. If you have access to an interesting signal that a quantitative hedge fund or a discretionary hedge fund could use in their strategy, they do purchase these things. The issue is that it's the devil's in the details, just like with everything else. You need at least 3 to 5 years of history on the data set for these hedge funds to even consider it. You also need consistency in delivery. And so if you say it's going to be a daily data set, you can't miss a day. There can't be any anomalies. If you say it's a monthly, it better be the same day every single month for the past 3 years. And that gets costly. Like the proof of concept has been the barrier to entry to some really cool data sets that could have hit the market and helped with trading decisions. But because you need 3 to 5 years of history, and because you need to keep that input strong and available and consistent and store it and pay for all of the additional costs surrounding it, the insurance cost that is needed for your business in order to distribute to a hedge fund. I mean, it does kind of create a barrier to entry for data companies. If I were to, this is kind of rude advice, I think, honestly. But if I were to give advice to someone who has an interesting data set that could be used in a financial capacity, I would suggest that they find a way to monetize it outside of finance and use finance as their second wind. or their third or their fifth, to make sure that they have a viable business plan and consistent, sticky customers. And then by having those customers, keeping the lights on and then approaching the hedge funds and the brokerages. All of these, it's an interesting, I know I'm kind of bloviating on this, but the quant and hedge fund space, like the institutional trader space, is super interesting to me because it's one of the only industries that I've ever seen where there's unlimited demand. These hedge funds and these brokerages, I'm sorry, not the brokerages, but the hedge funds and the institutions, they have people on staff that their whole job is to go find the new data sets. And so they are literally waiting for people to pitch them, and they'll test everything. Whereas the majority of other industries, like there's a large sales team that is out pitching. It's the opposite way, where they're like, please send me everything you have to try to see something that fits in their models. So long story short, I would suggest making sure that you have a viable business plan and enough data to prove sufficient for the insane tests that financial firms have. And we were lucky that, we did data second. Like we were first breaking news provider, and we wrote news since 2013. And so when we started licensing our data in 2016, 15, we already had 3 years on accident and were able to play ball.
Yeah, great point. Great advice. And the one thing that I'll add to that is, and maybe it seems obvious, but I'm going to give an example, like leverage AI in any way that you can. And here's a really interesting example. We have a data set about what people watch on TV through a partnership we have with TiVo. And it's a really interesting data set. And somebody recently asked me, like, okay, what are the top 1,000 TV shows? So we have a simple poll. I can pull what are the top 1,000 TV shows that people are watching on TV at any given time. And then they came back and said, oh, this is really interesting. Do you have the categories for this? And I was like, yeah, we should have that. And I realized when we looked at the data set, there's no categories. We have TV show, we have the time in day that it aired, we have how long somebody watched it, all of that stuff, but there's no category. So I literally took a spreadsheet of the top 1,000 TV shows, put it into Claude and said, hey, can you categorize this for me? Give each show a category. And I gave it examples, like, is it a drama? Is it sci-fi? Is it news? Whatever. And in seconds, I had 1,000 TV shows categorized and looked through it, and it all was really good. So like you just got, you never know like how you can leverage AI. But to me, that was just blew me away that I was just able to do that, ask it, and it categorized 1,000 TV shows in a couple of seconds. And that added value to the data set, because now we can group them and we can say, okay, what are the, all of the sci-fi shows that people are watching? And I can tell you every household that watches sci-fi, boom, done.
And like 4 years ago, you would have been pulling all-nighters, hired contractors, that's incredible.
Yeah, exactly.
New day.
Yeah.
Well, in closing, I'm going to transition us into our last topic with 10 minutes left, a tech stack. We would love to ask you what we ask all guests who come on Deconstructing Data. What are some of your favorite tools in your tech stack that empower you and your team?
I'm going to copy David here, and I'm going to be basic, but Claude, Anthropic in general, right? Like I'm blown away by the processes that can be built in Claude. We use it on every single aspect of our company. Our general counsel uses it. We built a skill for, every legal situation that could happen. We've built skills for editing. Of course, co-work is incredible. It's helped me scale my effectiveness personally as a manager. We have skills for prospecting. We have skills for list building. We have QA skills. We use it systematically to summarize for different endpoints. Not our news. Our news is all human written, but some of our other endpoints. What else do we do with it? Obviously, research. I mean, it's incredible. It's the first thing I open during the day. It's like, you know, when you open your Google Chrome. And I think it's just getting smarter and smarter. And I think that people that are embracing it are getting smarter alongside it. Like, you know, my first couple of use cases of simple Claude was kind of laughable at this point. Like the things that you can do and build and project, and the way that you can illustrate ideas, and like, you know, our internal decks to our shareholders. I mean, just like things that used to take me weeks can happen in minutes. It's incredible.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think it's just a matter of time till like Claude is like what I use most of the day. Like I don't have to go in my email. I won't have to go into Chrome. Like, you know, Claude will just be doing everything for me, and everything will be in there. So yeah, I agree 100%. That's definitely my top one also.
You'll just have a conversation with Claude.
Yeah, if your fingers get tired, you hit the microphone. It's incredible, you know. Like I've thought dumped verbally to Claude before when I'm working late, and it works.
Yep.
I'm a big fan of voice to text for sure, especially on my phone. If I'm out and about, just like you know, just start talking to your AI. So good. Well, in closing, Andrew, would you like to let listeners know how they could reach you after the show?
Yes, please check out benzinga.com/APIs. We are rolling out a website update soon, so we'd love to hear your thoughts on it. I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. It's just LinkedIn /Andrew Lebbos. And I hope to meet a lot of you guys soon.
Awesome, Andrew. Thank you so much for joining us today. This was a great conversation. I think we made some good predictions too. So thank you again. I appreciate you taking the time and joining the show.
Thank you both. Great to meet you both.
Yes. Thank you, Andrew. Go ahead and close us out with the video. So audience members, we want to invite you to get powered by BDEX. Build authentic connections with your audience and drive unprecedented engagement. So just imagine harnessing the power of AI to craft your audiences that truly resonate with your brand, ensuring that your marketing is hitting the mark every time. We want to bring you closer to those marketing goals, and we're eager to guide you. So just visit bdex.com. You can click on the Talk to an Expert button and get powered by BDEX. Deconstructing Data is the show that makes data make sense. Every Thursday, David Finkelstein and myself, Jessie Lezak, sit down with industry experts to unpack how data really drives marketing. We do this in plain language anyone can understand. If you want real insights, real conversations, and zero jargon, tune into Deconstructing Data, live on LinkedIn every Thursday at 4:15 p.m. Eastern Time. Yeah.